Hello, 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 and welcome to Believe. That's BLEAV in Lions right here on the Believe Podcast Network. I am your host for the second Victory Monday of the season at Javanagh87, Jack Cavanagh, and unfortunately, I do believe that Jerry Reckenball, the three-time Pro Bowler, former All-Pro, with the Detroit Lions, celebrated too hard. I think he was a little bit too excited about the Lions' victory. Unable to attend today, but that's okay. The show must go on even without the former Detroit Lion, the former Cleveland Brown, the former not Las Vegas Raider, but Oakland Raider, and former Minnesota Viking. Coincidentally enough, all three of his other former teams played today on this Monday of COVID rescheduling. But before we get to the show, we must talk about our sponsors, betonline.ag. And hopefully you took the Lions either to cover the spread or to win against the Arizona Cardinals, because Cardinals were favored by 13 points and they put up 13 points. Absolutely absurd. But you can place all of those Detroit Lions bets on betonline.ag. They are back and better than ever with a new web interface for the rest of the NBA and NFL seasons. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all of the basketball and football action this season. So head to the new updated desktop or mobile website and sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50. That's BLEAV 50 to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. And the Arizona Cardinals probably wish this game didn't start at all. The Detroit Lions are now 2-1 over their last 5 games. They are now 2-1 over their last 3 games. This is a different team than we saw last year. This is a different team than we saw during the entire Matt Patricia era. This is even a different team than we saw under Jim Schwartz, Jim Caldwell. This is a new era of Detroit football. I mean, think about it. In the past, the Lions at this point in the season would have just rolled over, given up. And not to say all the players, but there's a atmosphere around losing so devastatingly so many times. But Dan Campbell has his guys playing for him, and that is what is making the difference. This win over the Arizona Cardinals, and I'll have to check with Jerry, my football conscience, but I think this win seals Dan Campbell's future with the Detroit Lions for at least 2022, and probably based on the performance we've seen from year one, I would say Dan Campbell is guaranteed 3 years, the same amount of time as Matt Patricia. And I'm starting to believe that he's going to be around a lot longer than Matty P. And I loved early in the game when Dan Campbell decided to kick the field goal to go up 3-0. It looked like they were going to be the Lions, this aggressive, bold Dan Campbell Lions team. It looked like they were going to go for it on 4th and 3 tied 0-0. And I was very excited to see what happened because Dan Campbell was measured. He wasn't as aggressive as he has been in the past. And he said, we can go up on one of the best teams in the NFL and take the lead. And he did it. And I didn't love the follow up of the surprise onside kick, but when it happened against the Rams and it worked, I was all about it. So, maybe we let this slide and maybe we just say against a dominant NFC West team, sometimes you have to try a surprise onside kick. It works against LA. It doesn't work against Arizona, but thankfully, it doesn't matter in the slightest, despite this being the lowest paid attendance game of the season for the Detroit Lions. It ends up being their biggest win in years. I can't remember a game with as much on the line as this because it didn't happen under Matt Patricia and zero playoff wins. So you tell me, you let us know what you think this is the biggest Lions win since. However, reportedly one of the larger or louder crowds of the season, which just goes to show that any given team can win on any given Sunday. And the fans will get loud when you give them something to cheer for. And finally, the Detroit Lions gave their fans something to cheer for. No no Jamal Williams, no DeAndre Swift, and no left guard Jonah Jackson. Jared Goff says doesn't matter. 3 touchdowns, 216 yards in the win. And it looks like he's really growing into the face of the Detroit Lions. And he's very involved in the community, and that's great to see. But the offensive line is starting to protect Jared a lot better than at the start of the season. And with that trust in the pocket, he's able to start trusting his receivers like Amon-Ra St. Brown. 8 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown. He looks like the wide receiver one of the Detroit Lions for the foreseeable future. And with this game, Amon-Ra St. Brown now has 59 receptions on the year, the most by a rookie in Lions history. That's right. Even with Herman Moore, Hall of Famer, 11 receptions as a rookie. Calvin Johnson, Hall of Famer, 48 receptions as a rookie. Javid Best, the former Lions running back whose career was unfortunately cut short due to concussions, he previously held the record with 58 receptions. Amon-Ra has now broken it by 1, and he's got 3 games left to continue to build on that. I'm excited to see just what this rookie can do. And if you go back and watch the touchdown, that's a complex route that he run. It's a drag with a little shaky dake over the middle before he goes up on the wheel. That is a route that Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp used to run. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I've been saying it for a while now. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the Cooper Kupp of this offense. Now we just need to find our Robert Woods. And because Amon-Ra St. Brown was so good, he was randomly selected for a drug test. And random drug test at this point, we all know, just means you played too good. And that should be a tip of the cap, a sign of respect. Congratulations, Amon-Ra St. Brown, for the baller game, the win, and the random drug test. And of course, wide receiver 2, Josh Reynolds, he gets a touchdown as well. If we're talking about the comparison to the Rams, Josh Reynolds is obviously himself. He is that field stretcher that Jared Goff loves to target deep. Gotta find our Robert Woods. Unfortunately for Goff, he has been placed on the reserve/COVID-19 list. The new league protocols on COVID are a little bit different now. So Jared could return as soon as today when you're listening to this. If it's Tuesday, could be the next day. We don't know, and we have no way of knowing. It depends on his symptoms and his viral load. We're not going to get into that, but we'll wish Jared Goff a speedy recovery, and hopefully he will be back on the field soon. We know we will have Jamal Williams back from the reserve COVID-19 list as well in this coming game. But if DeAndre Swift doesn't play, are we sure Jamal Williams is the running back one? Are we sure that he hasn't lost his job to Netflix Craig Reynolds, the young man out of Kutztown University in Pennsylvania, had his first 100-yard rushing game of his career with 52 yards in just the first quarter alone. And to reward him for his stellar performance, Craig Reynolds has now been signed to the active roster. The Lions will be carrying 5 RBs, it looks like, with Swift's future up in the air with his shoulder injury, but Jamal Williams, Jermar Jefferson, kick returner Godwin Igwebuike, and now Craig Reynolds, the RB1, as long as DeAndre Swift is out. And the good news, Craig Reynolds is also signed through 2022. We will get to see the true thunder and lightning of DeAndre Swift and Craig Reynolds next year, no matter what happens with Swift's shoulder injury. And next year, they will have 3 first rounders blocking up front with left tackle Taylor Decker, with right tackle Penei Sewell, and with center Frank Ragnow back. Look out for this Lions rushing attack of DeAndre Swift and Craig Reynolds. And hat tip to Craig Reynolds, he also set a record. He now is the holder of the most yards through a player's first 2 games in his NFL career with the Lions. Most since Mel Farr, Jerry Ball's former teammate. Farr had 170, which is very impressive. Craig Reynolds is almost averaging 200 yards a game. He is almost averaging 100 yards a game. He has nearly 200 yards in his 2 games, sitting at 195. And I think it's going to only get better from here with the Atlanta Falcons coming up next. Not just the offense, though, the Lions defense is absolutely smothering. Like, they hold the Cardinals to just a field goal attempt with 2 minutes left, and or they hold the Cardinals to no points. They go for it on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal with 2 minutes left. It's 10-0 heading into halftime, and that was the definition or a defining moment for this Lions team. The Cardinals were driving. They were inside the 5, and the Lions held strong. We've seen this all season. They are a bend but don't break defense, and they held the Cardinals, had a shutout at halftime. And it was just impressive all around with multiple injuries throughout this defense. Amani Oruwariye, he steps up big with another interception. That's 6 on the season for Amani Oruwariye. And I know many people can't pronounce his name, but you need to learn his name because Amani Oruwariye is quietly emerging into one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL. And on the opposite side of him, almost more impressive, career safety Will Harris, who, while AJ Parker, we'll get to him in a moment, was on IR, Will Harris was moved from safety down into the slot. And it worked because Harris is a long, rangy, athletic defender. And then Parker comes back, and AJ Parker, the UDFA, returns from IR off of the ankle injury, immediately comes back into the starting lineup, has 2 pass breakups, great game from him. But now they're missing Jerry Jacobs, the other starting cornerback, tore his ACL last week. And so, what do the Lions do? They ask the safety turned slot cornerback to now turn again, play outside corner for the first time in his career. And you know what? Will Harris did pretty damn good. Only 4 receptions, only 24 yards with a long of 7 and had a pass breakup. You can't ask anything more from a safety playing corner for the first time in his life than 24 yards and a long of 7. Hats off to Will Harris. I think that he maybe has a future as a corner instead of playing back at safety, having to think, having to read the field. Put him one on one with a guy, and it seems to be working. Something to explore for the rest of the season. And another player that we have to explore his future, Charles Harris. Another 2 sacks from Harris in this game. He has been dominant over the last couple weeks. He had that little slump in the middle of the season, but started hot. And now it looks like Charles Harris is finishing hot as well. Number 53 is a must re-sign for the Detroit Lions because when you think about it, we don't have the number 1 pick anymore. That currently belongs to the Jacksonville Jaguars because the Detroit Lions, granted, only 2 wins, but we have a tie. The Jaguars don't have a tie. So the Jaguars now sit 2-12 in last place in the NFL. They'll get the first pick as it stands right now. Lions 2-11-1. But the Texans and Jets are tied at 3-11, third and fourth place. The Lions are better than both of those teams. We'll see how it pans out in the draft order, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions are picking outside of the top 2, possibly 3, 4, maybe even 5 when all is said and done, the way they are playing with the Falcons and Seahawks still on the board. And now that Packers matchup doesn't look so dangerous anymore after what the Baltimore Ravens did with an AAF roster and a backup QB in Tyler Huntley. I'm not so scared of those Packers now, so we will see. The Lions could win out, though. It is truly possible at this point, and a large part of that is this defense. We also see Alex Anzalone. He will be out for the remainder of the season with a shoulder injury. They don't believe it's a long-term issue, but with only 3 weeks left in the season, you can understand why they're shutting Alex Anzalone down. That's our green dot. That's our Mike linebacker, the guy who calls all the plays, gets everyone lined up. So that's a massive hit. However, they did draft Derek Barnes for this reason. He was set to become the heir apparent to Alex Anzalone. Anyways, we'll see how he plays over the next couple weeks. And if Barnes isn't up to snuff, they could bring back Anzalone next year as he's a free agent. But we'll see how this defense performs over these last couple weeks. Also, tip of the cap to Jesse Lemonier. He had his first career sack with the Detroit Lions while filling in for Julian Aquara and Trey Flowers, who were both out in this one. Another tip of the cap to Riley Patterson. It looks like the Lions may have solved their kicker issues for the first time since Matt Prater left. And side note, what was with the boos? Why were we booing Matt Prater? The man did nothing but give to the city of Detroit. He was phenomenal for years and years. And then all of a sudden, the Lions lowball him. They offer him pennies on what he's worth. And Prater says, okay, well, I'm going to go and sign and play for a Super Bowl contender. Why are we booing him? Matt Prater does not deserve the booze after all of the good times that he gave us. But the future might be Riley Patterson. The 22-year-old makes all 5 of his kicks and scores 11 points for the Lions on Sunday. On the season, he is now 7 of 7 on field goals. He's 8 of 8 on extra points. And like I said, just 22 years old. This could be the future for the Detroit Lions in the kicking factory. And we need it because it has been a painful cycle of kickers. Remember Ryan Santoso? I wish I didn't. As for the Cardinals, they really struggle in all facets. There's not much good to say about them at all. First touchdown comes with under 5 minutes left in the game. Kyler Murray, it seems like, needs to play hero ball every week, or the Cardinals just aren't that good. And we saw one game with Colt McCoy, granted, where the Cardinals were great without Kyler, but Cliff Kingsbury is not the coach to elevate talent from here to up here. He is a maintainer. He's going to let Kyler Murray do his thing. And if Kyler Murray isn't playing like one of the best players in the NFL, then the Cardinals are sunk. We saw it against the Rams. We saw it against the Lions. And we might see it as the season goes on because Cliff Kingsbury is not the answer. We've seen it with Urban Meyer. We've now seen it with Matt Rule in Carolina. These college coaches coming into the NFL, there's something to be said about it. And at this point, I am just so glad that the future of the Detroit Lions seems to be set in the hands of Dan Campbell. And I know we've talked about the rah and whether it's going to work long term, whether it's sustainable, or whether this is just more Matt Millen type of hype man. The way these players, the way this team has bought in to the point where they can take down the number one team in the NFC, the third time this has happened in NFL history with 8 games into the season. That doesn't happen if you don't have Dan Campbell at head coach. And to his credit, the staff he has compiled around him with Aubrey Pleasant, the defensive backs coach, with Mark DeLeon, the linebackers coach, with all of this talent, Aaron Glenn, with Deuce Staley. It is a well-built staff with a bright future, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for the Detroit Lions. So, we will see you later this week as we preview the Lions matchup with the Falcons. But until next time, 1, 2, 3, we believe.